Hello, welcome to Temperature Check with Geoff. Today is Monday, August 3rd, and we're going to take my temperature on the intersection of algorithms and geopolitics. Now, a year and a half ago, when I tweeted my opinion that TikTok's algorithm was a prospective national security threat to the United States, I lost more than a few relationships, and the tweet garnered hardly any likes. But I believed it, because unlike social networks, TikTok's algorithm automatically learns so much about you that it doesn't even need to build a social graph. And once it understands what makes you tick, it knows exactly how to make you talk. Okay, that was a really shitty pun, sorry. But in any case, to the extent TikTok was even on the radar in Silicon Valley a year and a half ago when I tweeted about it, it was on the radar as a product. It was on the radar amongst product managers and technologists and VCs as a brilliantly designed video app that had captured the teen zeitgeist. It was not on the radar as an epic showdown between the US and China. Now today, the worlds of business, technology, and politics are in the thrall of what will be either a TikTok ban or divestiture in the United States, following on the heels of already a TikTok ban in India. Now, I'm not going to give my analysis of the specifics of the TikTok situation. While I certainly have one, it's frankly just too dangerous for me to share here today, and I have discretion over what I share. So the actual analysis of TikTok specifically will remain private, but rather I will provide what I believe to be a critical, more macro, more general observation in this temperature check. And then in future temperature checks, I'm going to give some takeaways that should flow from this observation to entrepreneurs and technology investors like myself. So first, let's back up a few years. On May 6th, 2017, The Economist magazine cover proclaimed, and I quote, that data was the new oil. Well, paraphrase, I don't think that was the exact wording, but along the lines of data is the new oil. The companies portrayed in the cover art included Uber. TikTok at the time had not even launched in the US when that cover was published. It would launch a few months later following ByteDance's acquisition of Musical.ly. Now today, nobody gives a crap about what Uber is up to with its data. Do you care what Uber's doing with your data? I really don't care what Uber's doing with my data. But TikTok has become the talk of Twitter, the media, the White House, Silicon Valley, and I'm sure China. But in my view, the issue is actually not one of data. The issue with TikTok is actually not about data. And moreover, I think The Economist was wrong about data being the new oil. Put simply, I would argue that algorithms are the new oil, and TikTok is just the opening salvo of what I predict will be decades of battles between and within nations centered on algorithms. Over the past 100 years, there have been 180 oil wars. The Iran-Iraq war was about oil. The US invasion of Iraq preceded by Iraq's invasion of I mixed these things up. Iraq's invasion of Kuwait was about oil. Even World War II had an oil component. Now, some have argued that oil defeated the Nazis in World War II, metaphorically speaking, of course. Perhaps not so incidentally, the most recent oil confrontation between nations involves China. Chinese seismic survey vessels interfered with, I believe it was Vietnamese and maybe Malaysian oil exploration in a sea off of China, the South China Sea. And I think that this confrontation has ratcheted up very recently, like over the past few months. Needless to say, those of us not in that region have had other stuff to worry about, to put it mildly, so nobody in Silicon Valley really noticed. But there's a legit oil confrontation going on right now in the South China Sea. Just as the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Russia dominate the production of oil, a handful of extraordinarily powerful technology companies will dominate the most important algorithms of the future. Just as warfare itself, at the exact same time that warfare itself becomes nearly entirely fought via millions, one day billions, of lines of code of algorithms, the drones do not figure out where to go on their own yet. Let's just put it that way. Whether the power of ByteDance's TikTok algorithm survives within both China and the US as separate companies is very much an open question, because they have to split the company, they have to rebuild the algorithm for the US. Very unclear whether that works. But far more powerful than TikTok's algorithm today is Google's PageRank today. And Google's PageRank, incidentally, is far more global and has far more usage. My candidate for an extraordinarily powerful up-and-coming algorithm would be something like OpenAI's successor to GPT-3, which as an aside has captivated Silicon Valley, and their successor will be called most likely GPT-4. That one might be a pretty powerful algorithm, might interest some governments around the world. So the global war over and for control of the most powerful algorithms is just beginning. And if you want to stay out of the way, you should just work on something quaint, like building a supersonic passenger jet or something like that.